hidden horrors of American history, Oscarville, a thriving black town in Forsyth County, Georgia, met a tragic fate in 1912. After 3 black men were accused of rape, the town's prosperity came to an end. Rob Edwards, Ernest Knox, and Oscar Daniel, the accused teenagers, were lynched, fueling a wave of terror unleashed by a white terrorist group known as the Night Riders. Through coercion and threats of violence, white residents forced the black community to leave and surrender their property. By 1920, over 1,000 black people had been reduced to none. The horrors of Oscarville were rarely acknowledged, but they exemplify the power of white terrorism and the expulsion of a racial group. These events shed light on the deeply ingrained fears and challenges faced by black individuals, reminding us of the injustices associated with simply breathing while black. The remnants of Oscarville, including its towns, schools, and churches, now lie submerged beneath Lake Lanier. This untold story serves as a poignant reminder of the injustices and atrocities that have been obscured in American history. The Tuskegee syphilis study, spanning from 1932 to 1972, stands as a haunting chapter in American medical history. African-American men in rural Alabama who were afflicted with syphilis became unwilling participants in a study conducted by the United States Public Health Service. Despite the availability of effective treatments, the men were denied proper medical care as the study aimed to observe the natural progression of the disease. Tragically, this withholding of treatment led to severe health consequences for the participants, including blindness, organ damage, and premature death. The study's ethical violations and racial discrimination sparked widespread condemnation and highlighted the systemic injustices faced by African Americans. Another distressing instance of medical exploitation is found in the experiments conducted by Dr. J. Marion Sims, often hailed as a pioneer in modern gynecology. Sims performed numerous surgical procedures on enslaved women without their consent or the use of anesthesia. His experiments focused on repairing vesicovaginal fistulas, a condition commonly occurring after childbirth. However, the manner in which these experiments were conducted raises significant ethical concerns. The lack of consent and the absence of pain relief for the enslaved women exemplify a grave disregard for their well-being and rights. The scars of racial injustice run deep in American history, and among the countless stories of oppression, the Wilmington Insurrection of 1898 and the Colfax Massacre stand out as haunting reminders of the systemic racism faced by African Americans. In Wilmington, North Carolina, in 1898, white supremacists launched a violent coup to dismantle the biracial local government. The black community bore the brunt of their hatred, enduring brutal attacks, the destruction of black-owned businesses, and the forceful removal of elected black officials. This insurrection resulted in the establishment of white supremacist rule, pushing African Americans to the margins of society, further fueling the flames of racial discrimination. Similarly, in Colfax, Louisiana, in 1873, black residents gathered at the local courthouse to protect their newly gained voting rights. However, a merciless white mob descended upon them, assaulting the courthouse with deadly force. The aftermath witnessed the tragic loss of at least 60 African American lives. The Colfax Massacre became a somber milestone, dealing a severe blow to the political and civil rights of black individuals during the challenging post-Civil War era. In addition to these harrowing events, African Americans were subjected to further injustices, such as convict leasing and forced labor. The abolition of slavery did not guarantee freedom for black individuals, as they were ensnared in a vicious cycle of exploitation. Convict leasing allowed prisoners, predominantly African Americans, to be rented out for labor, often under false charges and in inhumane conditions. Simultaneously, the practice of debt peonage ensnared black workers in exploitative labor arrangements, mirroring the oppressive system of slavery. These stories echo the endurance of African Americans in the face of relentless oppression. They expose the dark underbelly of a society still grappling with its legacy of racial discrimination. By acknowledging these injustices, we confront our past and pave the way for a more inclusive and equitable future. Only through understanding, empathy, and action can we dismantle the systemic racism that continues to plague our society, intentionally hidden from academia and mainstream media, to strive towards a truly just society for all.